You mean to tell me you're okay with kids in school reading an award-winning book for, All Boys Aren't Blue, which is banned, by the way, go to the top, which is banned by how many schools?
29.
29 school districts, and you think it's okay? And she asked the question, in what context is a dildo strap-on acceptable? And she says, let that be the decision of a parent? What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about?
In this video, Patrick Bet-David goes head-to-head with MSNBC's Joy Reid, calling her out for defending some truly outrageous and controversial positions. Reid attempts to justify the presence of certain explicit and highly inappropriate books in schools, particularly focusing on All Boys Aren't Blue, a memoir that has been banned in multiple school districts due to its graphic content. Bet-David wastes no time dismantling her arguments, pointing out the absurdity of allowing such material in educational settings for children. Joy Reid, known for her staunch progressive views, tries to shift the conversation towards parental choice, suggesting that parents should have the right to let their children read whatever they see fit. But Bet-David pushes back hard, arguing that this isn't just about freedom of choice, it's about protecting children from explicit content that no young student should be exposed to. Get ready to dive into this explosive debate where Patrick Bet-David pulls no punches and takes on the woke media machine that's been influencing classrooms and school libraries across the country. Let's jump in and see how Bet-David takes down Joy Reid.
So MSNBC, Joy Reid, and Moms of Liberty go at it. And you just have to see this exchange because MSNBC Joy Reid criticized Tiffany Justice, co-founder of Moms of Liberty, over banning the memoir, All Boys Aren't Blue, from schools questioning for qualifications. What is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book, isn't appropriate for students to read? Justice responds by stating, I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos are not appropriate for public schools, okay? I can read the rest of it for you, but I'll let you see the clip. Yeah. Rob, if you have the clip, I'm sure Joy Reid's going to do a much better job than me reading this. Watch this clip here. And parents, I really want to know, how are you reacting to this exchange? Rob, is this the full clip? Go ahead and play the clip. Go ahead and play the clip.
What I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is their expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
What a question.
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name
remembered
of the author
very
doesn't
specific names.
Joy.
Here's my question.
We're talking about
Here's that question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer your
Great.
question.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation. So what I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't have to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate for public school. I mean, come on, let's get real.
This book is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience.
I cannot believe
Why
this
is it your right or a Moms for Liberty activist's right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author,
MSNBC. This is embarrassing.
Why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So, again, we're talking about incest, rape, and pedophilia.
And each parent, Each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask it one more time.
Right.
What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof
rape.
of that is what?
You just said that
What's
if
your
a child
proof of
feels
that?
seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
you're now making assumptions.
No,
about it.
Joy, but if a child has been raped, you should do a lot better than
She
put a
can't
book
be
in
this-
the library.
she can't be this ignorant.
You can process at this point.
It's obvious that Joy Reid is trying to justify the fact that this book, which contains clearly inappropriate content for children, is being allowed in schools. The discussion should be simple. Joy, there's a book with sexual content being shown to kids. The appropriate response should be, that's not suitable for children. End of discussion. But instead of addressing the real issue, Joy Reid shifts the focus and criticizes Tiffany Justice for not remembering the main character's name, as if that's the key point here. The reality is, you don't need to know every detail of the book to understand the core problem. It contains sexual material and is being shown to children, which is wrong. That alone is enough for any concerned parent or educator to say, this book doesn't belong in schools. By focusing on trivial details like the main character's name, Joy Reid completely sidesteps the real concern, protecting kids from inappropriate content. The fact that the book is unsuitable for children should be the only factor in deciding whether or not it belongs in schools. But Reid's argument completely misses that point.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you think she's that stupid?
No,
Or
she's
this
not.
is the narrative? Because, by the way, let's not forget who by the way, never trust anybody that's hair looks like this to make any decisions about anything about you and your kids. What she's doing right here is one of the reasons people like me always think that the left is always over-sexualizing kids and doesn't care about topics like this. And that's why everybody's always like, dude, what is she talking about? What is she even talking about? And let's not forget who Joy Reid is. She's the one, remember on the panel with Bill Maher when Ann Coulter was like, Donald Trump's the, what's it called? She made that face like, she's an idiot. There's no way she could think like
Tom,
this.
when you hear this logically, when you hear this, a host of a brand, MSNBC, saying it's okay for a book with dildos and
Pedophilia and rape.
Well, how do you process this as a parent, Tom?
So, Joy Reid is the pathetic mouthpiece of the left that wants to sexualize children and wants to make sure that onboarding and grooming materials are present on the shelves of libraries and public schools. It's as simple as that. They want the stuff on there. They want the progressive sexualization of kids. That's the purpose here. Now, I happen to think that this woman could have done better for herself. I would have known the author. I would have known his date of birth. I would have known the name of the publisher, and I would have fired back at her pretty hard on those. So I think she could have been a little bit more informed and kind of fought back against it. But Joy Reid's whole angle here is to discredit her. That's all she's trying to do. She was not arguing even for the book. She's just trying to discredit the other side. I'm interviewing you. You're not interviewing me, meaning I'm here to ask a bunch of questions to discredit you. But all I see is a mouthpiece for the left to advocate to putting this stuff on the shelves in public schools to allow kids to have access to it, to act on their curiosities or act on their depression. That's her job here.
Adam.
Look, it's becoming clearer and clearer who she is. You know, she's going to reap what she sow. I just Googled Joy Reid just to kind of see what's popping up. If you Google Joy Reid, do it right now. The first thing that pops up is Joy Reid strap-on. So congratulations, Joy. This is now the word associated
Don't
with
Google
your name.
strap-on, Robert.
Is that a
No,
wait a minute?
just Joy Reid. That's the first thing that pops up.
Strap-on Joy Reid.
The second thing that pops up is Joy Reid hair. And I realized, where have I seen this hair before? And it's one of our favorite movies over here. Rob, if you could pull that up. We saw her go full retard in Tropic Thunder. We recognize that hairdo. And you know they said...
I knew
They
it.
said, never go full retard over here. But, I also found out that Joy has 3 kids. And she's married. I thought she might have been a lesbian. I don't know.
It's honestly shocking that Joy Reid, a mother of 3, would defend the idea of exposing children to books like this. As a parent, she knows firsthand the challenges of raising kids, yet she still chooses to stand behind content that is clearly inappropriate for them. This isn't just a difference of opinion, it's disturbing, and it suggests her priorities might be more career-driven than based on any real moral or ethical compass. I don't think Joy Reid is inherently evil, but when someone defends material like this for the sake of their paycheck or career, it reflects a significant disconnect from basic values. People in her position know that stepping out of line risks not only their jobs, but their entire relevance in the media. While figures like Tucker Carlson can bounce back stronger after being fired, people like Joy Reid or Don Lemon don't have the same kind of fan base to fall back on. What's even more unsettling is that she uses irrelevant arguments, like whether someone knows the main character's name, to defend this content. It misses the real issue entirely. And the fact that she's a parent defending this makes it all the more baffling. Would she actually encourage her own children to engage with this type of material? It's hard to believe she would.
But she's got 3 kids, so I want to know if she's going to let her kids read this book. I want to know if she's encouraging her kids to enjoy this type of lifestyle.
The youngest child that she has is 24 years old. So if her child was in elementary or middle school, that was, 15 years ago before this was, relevant for most schools to have these types of books.
Her youngest child is 24. How old is she? Jesus. Anyway, good for her. But she's just an absolute shill of whatever's happening here.
I'm actually wanting to talk real substance here. Forget about you calling her idiot or shill or this and that. Tom, we'll come back to Tom. You found something awesome. Hang tight. We'll come to you, Tom. So forget about what she is and all the name calling. The average parent who doesn't follow politics closely is 80% of parents. 80% of parents don't care about politics. They don't follow it. They don't turn on CNN. They don't turn on Fox. They don't turn on MSNBC. They don't turn these things on. Maybe they get the news as it gets a little bit closer to the election cycle, maybe a little bit, but they're watching a Netflix show at night. They're watching a series at night. They're watching something like that at night. You mean to tell me you're okay with kids in school reading an award-winning book for, All Boys Aren't Blue, which is banned, by the way, go to the top, which is banned by how many schools?
29.
29 school districts, and you think it's okay? And she asked the question, in what context is a dildo strap-on acceptable? And she says, let that be the decision of a parent? What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about?
That's exactly the issue. Just as Patrick Bet-David pointed out, people like Joy Reid will go out of their way to defend books like this, but instead of addressing the real problem, whether sexually explicit content is appropriate for kids, they try to divert attention by bringing up irrelevant details like someone not knowing the main character's name. For most parents, it's not about knowing every detail of the book. What really matters is protecting their children from inappropriate content, and they shouldn't have to read every page to make that judgment. The truth is, about 80% of parents aren't deeply involved in politics, but when they hear that explicit content is being shown to their kids, their first instinct is to keep it out of schools. Joy Reid's argument that people can't criticize the book without reading it completely misses the point. Parents don't need to dive into every detail. They just want to safeguard their kids. The irony is, if this book had traditional, vanilla depictions of relationships, the left would probably have a problem with it. But because it pushes more provocative ideas, they defend it at all costs. It makes you question what the real motivations are behind defending this content. What do you think about Patrick Bet-David's takedown of Joy Reid and the ongoing debate over these books? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation.